Hello from the University of York, where 10,000 athletes are gathering for a very special day of running in this historic city. Established in 2013, the Plusnet Yorkshire Marathon was an immediate success, selling out all of its places in just a few hours. And it's the combination of great scenery, a fantastic atmosphere, and one of the fastest marathon courses around that have already made this a classic event. Well, here we go then. We are at the start line of this 26.2 mile course around the White Rose County. So let's go and take a look at the course that these guys will be taking on with your race commentator, Patrick Winterton.
The ancient city of York is the centrepiece of this race. This walled city has been conquered, liberated and conquered again many times in its 2,000-year history. Founded by the Romans in 71 AD, the architecture left by the Caesars and those who came after them, the Vikings, Normans, Tudors and many others, a sign of its historical, cultural and economic importance. Nowadays, all this history makes York an incredibly popular destination for tourists from around the globe. Many of them visiting the world-famous York Minster, arguably Britain's most famous cathedral, certainly one of Britain's most impressive. For the competitors in the Yorkshire Marathon, York Minster is an unforgettable sight that comes early on in the race. And the race, as usual, starting at the university, they head in and out of the city before they even get to the 2-mile marker. Then they head northeast, up towards the top end. Sand Hutton marks the 11-mile point, and then a beautiful section leads them down to Stamford Bridge, the halfway point. 2 dead turns in the race, so plenty of opportunity to see how your friends and opponents are getting on before they head west. This is where it gets hard, down Bad Bargain Lane, and they will finish again at the university.
Well, I'm pleased to say that joining me once again is none other than Catherine Merry. And Catherine, 12 months has passed since we were last here. That time has flown for me and maybe yourself, but for nearly 10,000 runners who are going to be putting trainers on today, I'm sure it's been hard training in that time.
It has, because you have to put the miles in to run the 26.2 miles, right? And you say 10,000, 7,000 over the marathon distance with the corporate races and the 10-mile road race, which was so popular last year. It's back again, a great stepping stone up to the marathon. The athletes have put the work in, and today is the day, and they're all very excited, and understandably so. It's a great course and a great atmosphere.
Yeah, what is it about this course that keeps bringing them back? Because it's set to be quite a fast race.
It is, because with it being a largely flat course, athletes therefore love racing here, and understandably it's getting some kudos now here, the Yorkshire Marathon. It's been tipped and been talked about now as the premier autumn marathon, and understandably so.
Yeah, and many of the runners that are here are obviously running for individual charities, but the whole event is covered by the Jane Tomlinson Foundation.
It is, and it's covered wonderfully well, and therefore it's run ever so well. And everybody, of course, remembers Jane Tomlinson raised nearly £2 million before we sadly lost her to cancer, and everything just works here. Do you know what I mean? It's run smoothly, the runners come, the crowds come, and that's what makes it so exciting for the runners. And yeah, they're raring to go. Even early this morning, they're up and ready.
And they've been blessed with beautiful autumnal weather up here in Yorkshire. It's going to be great, isn't it?
Certainly is. Fingers crossed, another good day.
Brilliant stuff. Well, you've got your trainers on, you're going to get out on the course, and there are plenty of fans already lining the route. So let's go and take a look.
Again, a fantastic turnout for the Yorkshire Marathon, 18 through to 80 years of age, from conventional dress through to the fanciest fancy dress.
I've dressed at the ferry a few times now, and it's the difference between enjoying and really enjoying.
Well, we enjoyed it so much last year, we thought we'll do it again.
This before.
I haven't trained very hard, so I'm going to be out there for a long time, not a good time.
I just want to run the whole thing and, yeah, just enjoy the course.
it's such a beautiful place to do a marathon in terms of the history of the city. So if I'm going to do any, this will probably be my only one.
It's a brilliant run. Everyone's going to enjoy it, and I'm sure Bess will take some good stories back to New York.
Why, hey to those back home.
Well, nice to have a bit of sunshine here in York, certainly adding to the atmosphere. Good turnout, as we've already seen. And the wheelchair athletes getting a 5-minute start over the main runners, and there are some really classy runners there. Harrington and Charles, two of the favourites, but perhaps Paul Martelletti is the man to beat today. He's on very good form. The women's field is stacked as well. Michelle Nolan, we've got Sarah Lowry there, Sarah Gruber, we've got Jo Savchevsky, who won last year. And here are the 4 athletes in the wheelchair race. Jade Jones in the middle, recently back from Rio. She's only 20 years old, already the veteran of 2 Paralympics.
So, Jade, great to see you here in Yorkshire. It's a little different to Rio. Great event, though. You looking forward to it?
I am, yeah. It's my first race back. I've only actually been in training for about 4 days, so it'd be interesting to see how it goes. And it's a bit more of a training run than a race as such for me right now. So I'm in a heavy block of training, but I'm excited to see how it goes.
Yeah, fantastic support, and Callum's alongside you as well. Has he done more than 4 days training? Callum, how you been doing?
About 5 days training, so I should be the winner here.
All right, well, we'll leave you to it. Best luck, guys, and thank you.
I can see a little bit of a domestic developing there. Those two due to get married shortly.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
So away they go, and sub 2 hours possible. We'll see how they get on. And obviously it all depends on the pace that they set early on. And Jade and Callum having a battle royal in the first 100 metres. Things should settle down. Certainly an advantage being in the slipstream. Some tactical racing, I dare say, early on. And they're clocking just under 5-minute miles for the early stage. Now here is the field, men and women mixed at the start of the Yorkshire Marathon, and the favourites have the right of going up in the front. Expect to see an early move from Paul Martelletti. He never really hangs around. He's one of those athletes who loves the park run. He's got plenty of records around the country. On the left of your screen, the New Zealander who now lives in Mile End in London. Well, he stormed the first 150 metres. And Tom Charles in the blue and white striped vest, he's likely to try and stay with the race leader, but we'll see how the race develops. That's a fairly brutal pace in the opening few metres. Well, there's Hannah Cockcroft. She's due to start the 10 mile, which is being included again in the programme this year after the success of that race last year. And we're back with the leaders. Things settled down a little. Tom Charles just settling in, 4 or 5 metres behind Paul Martelletti. Martelletti, a prolific racer, 6 half marathons he's done this year. This is his 4th marathon, only just missed his PB in Berlin with a time of 2:16.58. He'll be looking for around 1:09 at the halfway.
I've had some decent results, like 2:17 at London, 2:18 at Gold Coast and 2:16 at Berlin, so what's the Yorkshire Marathon going to be? I don't know. Hopefully in the 2:1 category again, but we'll see.
So to clock that 2:20 or under, he needs to be around 5:20 minute miling. Tom Charles just behind him. Now here's a man who doesn't like to get too excited before the race, doesn't want to waste any energy.
Leading in, I try just to kind of like put it off somewhere in the distance, not fully aware that it's happening. That's my way. I've always been competitive, and I imagine that applies to sort of most of the elite athletes. I do like to win, or at the very least do something well.
Just behind the leaders, 3:64, that's John Cooper, and behind him we've got Scott Harrington for Otley Running Club in the black vest, and Jamil Parapia next door to him, 2 established runners.
I always feel nervous before any race, to be honest. Even if it's a local park run, I feel nervous. But I love the marathon distance. I actually did this race the first year it was ran back in 2013. I was supposed to be doing it last year, but I had to withdraw through injury. So I was definitely the motivation was to come back here and run a good time.
Scott Harrington certainly very determined. Here are the leading women. We've got Melissa Gibson out front and Sarah Lowry with the light blue headband. I was going to point out the pink shoes, but pink seems to be the in colour for footwear in the women's race today. Michelle Nolan looking comfortable. She's on the back of a very tough period. Be interesting to see how she gets on today. And the two race leaders, Paul Martelletti on the right of your screen. Tom Charles hanging on in there, but there's no doubt that the New Zealander Martelletti looks the more comfortable of the two. Through Walmgate into the city of York. Just over a mile gone, and already the pace is pretty hot. They'll be coming up towards the York Minster soon. That's certainly, in terms of spectacle, the highlight of the race. And the masses, well, some of them still to get over the start line. 7,000 entrants. There's the race starter, and what a man he is. Ray Matthews, 75 years old. Can you believe this year he ran 75 marathons in 75 days? What's he going to do when he gets to 80? I wonder. Thousands upon thousands. And there you have the sole runner. Martelletti has broken away from Charles, only by a few metres, but he's going to have York Minster to himself. One of the great sights in British marathon running. I'm sure there are a few runners there who would wish the course to go past the Minster 2 or 3 times, because it gives you such a boost. And of course, that is where the crowd are accumulating. And Martelletti just settling into his rhythm, just under 5:30 for the first mile, certainly under control. He's capable of much quicker than that. 4:45, 4:46 he's capable of. Second place to Tom Charles at the moment. And he's someone who always has a race plan.
I'd like to do the first half at a reasonable time and stick with whoever is going to be leading. I've got suspicion of who those might be, having seen a few likely faces here today.
Well, here are the group that are chasing Charles, and we've got 623, that's Alan Myers at the back of this group in white. Jamil Parapia looking very comfortable. Now, he's an established runner, but has never run a marathon before, so it'll be interesting to see how he gets on. And his training partner, Scott Harrington.
Jamil's a good friend of mine. Met him when I moved up into the area about 6 years ago. So we met at the local running club, and he coached me for a while. So he's helped me a lot with my running. I've definitely improved since I met Jamil.
First marathon, so yes, I guess a bit of a milestone. I mean, I've done half marathons and 10Ks and things like that, but my sister's always been sort of poking fun at me in the sense that she's done the London Marathon and I haven't. So I'm really only here just to shut her up.
Well, he's only going to achieve that if he finishes, but he is an elite runner. 2:30, achievable.
I think everybody is an elite runner. There's people running for charity and some incredible causes. There's people who are going to be running for 4 or 5 hours, and I can't run for 4 or 5 hours. Probably fall apart if I ran that length. And I think if you're going to go out there and run a marathon, put all that time and effort into the training, to me they are the elite runners, and you know, they're a million times more successful than I'll ever be.
Nice sentiments, and that makes Catherine Addison the champion from last year. 8:04.55, 8 hours of running, a fantastic effort from her last year.
And how are we doing?
Really well, thank you. Yeah, I'm going a little bit slower than normal, but I'm really enjoying the pace.
There's too many conversations of what is in this bag. I need to know what's in the bag.
Bananas, we need bananas.
Came all the way from the US to do this race.
You know what? We've had so many nationalities here today. I've spoke to an American already, so to have another one with us, we welcome you. Your first time?
Thank you. First time for Yorkshire, yes.
We're just running for the pride of it, really.
So they've let you out of West London?
I'm afraid they have. It's just a concession just for today. What a wonderful day, though.
How are you enjoying York now? Because you were so enthused, Wade. How's it going? It's beautiful, right?
Oh, it was great. All those people were cheering. I'm not used to that.
Isn't she super? Isn't she super?
She's been training for years and years for this.
It was a fantastic day. I'm with you all the way over.
So the first few miles are done, and whether they're running for glory, for fun, or for someone, or for some cause, it's time to remember the race strategy. Prepare for the pain that is inevitably going to come.
Welcome back to the city of York, where we're being treated to some beautiful autumnal sunshine for this year's Plusnet Yorkshire Marathon. Perfect conditions then for the fourth running of this classic race.
And with 25 minutes of the race gone, it's still Sarah Lowry up the front of the women's group, just checking the watch and checking her pace.
I love to run. Yeah, I always have done. I like running, I like training, I like to sort of see myself getting faster, and I just really enjoy it. I've got a plan of what I want to do, and hopefully I'll carry that out and not sort of get sucked into competing with anybody, really. But it's very difficult.
Now, for most, one marathon a year is enough. Michelle Nolan on the other side has put in the miles recently, and some would question whether she was fully recovered for this race.
Last week I did my first ultra, so I've still got that in my legs. Did 35.5 miles. I won that, so I have no idea how today's going to go.
Well, it's going to be interesting. Many would say 3 weeks minimum recovery from a marathon. From an ultra, it's even longer. Scott Harrington in a battle with his former coach, Jamil Parapia, just behind him. And I wonder whether Scott Harrington is trying to close that gap down on Tom Charles, who's, 100 metres or so ahead of him. Desperate to break the 2-hour, 30-minute mark. He's not done it so far. Is today the day?
I took up running about 10 years ago. My mum passed away, and I found it was a good release to go out and do something on my own, and join the local running club. And I found I was good at it, so it's progressed from there, really. The beauty about running is I think you can always get better. So there's always targets, obviously, with your times. So that's my main aim, really, to get better.
Well, he's certainly looking good at the moment, and just needs to pace himself, constantly looking at the watch. And a massive advantage of GPS watches is you can do just that. Here's Paul Martelletti coming in towards Stockton-on-the-Forest, and the high-fiving vicar, a regular at the Yorkshire Marathon, Reverend Canon Terry Joyce. What a part he plays. Tom Charles now in no man's land. He can't stay with Martelletti. He's got to fight to stay ahead of Harrington, who's pushing the pace. And Harrington now, 15 metres ahead of Parapia. And it's still early days. Harrington certainly pushing the pace from the onset. The masses. Well, what colour, what an atmosphere. You have to admire those who've decided to race in fancy dress. It's hard enough in lightweight gear. Here's Rob Deering, a comedian who hosted the TV programme 99 Things to Do Before You Die. I'm not sure whether the Yorkshire Marathon was on that list. Maybe that can be number 100. And he's running pretty well. Trains with Paul Tonkinson, another comedian, and we caught up with them yesterday before the race, just to get their thoughts on their potential for today's run.
I am a bit quicker than Rob.
Yeah, that's right. It's easy.
You don't have to.
That's right.
It's not
That's
big.
right. That's right. The
big
comparison, the competition thing is much easier for you to let go than for me. Because
It's no problem for me. Where is he? Oh, there he is.
I'm pretty fast. I'm pretty fit, but I've always got him being faster than me, just to to put the pressure on.
No, but to be fair and to Rob's credit, which is fantastic for me personally, he dragged me back into running.
You were a dormant runner, weren't you? You were like a lifelong good runner. Whereas I was fit and really enjoying it, and I might as well come for a run, and you went zip, 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 zip.
I think everyone can do a marathon. I honestly think everyone can do a marathon. And I almost think everyone should do a marathon, because the support you get from people, the feelings that you go through internally, and the sort of inner monologue of stop, don't stop, you keep going, and then assuming that you do keep going, it can be an intensely pleasurable experience.
Paul looking to beat 3:05, and then he'll set that target of 3 hours. going. You're looking good, Eva. This has become a regular for those in Stockton-on-the-Forest. Everyone with their own personal battles out here, and here is Claire Alexander, a nurse, a cancer patient, recently been through 6 months of chemotherapy, and here she is pounding the roads, taking on the full marathon today. Now this is Claire's third attempt to complete the marathon. She actually entered in 2014, had to pull out because of a collapsed lung. She was ill in 2015, but this year she might just achieve her dream. A native of York, and when she's not working at the Nuffield Hospital, she's out training.
It's just me time. I enjoy being out, I enjoy the running. I usually take my dog with me, and it's that fitness as well. I've tried going to the gym, but I felt a bit like a battery hen in a gym setting. I do prefer to be out in the fresh air, and I just get a buzz from running.
The endorphins pumping around the body, the physical benefits, I guess, are obvious. It's the mental side of it, which is also such a positive and something that Claire believes in.
I think if I hadn't been running initially for many, many years, I don't think I'd be sat here after everything I've gone through, especially with the collapsed lung, the tumour. I think because of my health, and I am very healthy. I look after, I try eat healthily. I exercise, I do the running, and I think that's helped greatly. The fact that I'm hoping, and I will do, my 26.2 miles in the marathon.
At the moment, it's exciting. I'm enjoying it. So yes, and I feel fine.
You have to be positive when you get told that you've got they don't know the prognosis, they don't know how long. I intend being here many, many years, but at the moment I feel fit, well and healthy. When things start to happen, then we'll deal with it as it happens. People have sponsored me, so I think there's not so much a pressure. I just don't want to let them down. I think once I'm halfway around, or even get the 20-mile mark, and the sweeper car hasn't picked me up, I'll start to relax a bit and enjoy it.
Well, here's the race leader in the women's, Sarah Lowry, who's going great guns at the moment. She's broken away from the group that she was with.
It's a brilliant event. I've done it a few times. It's a great course. There's always lots of support, and generally the weather's really good with it being at this time of year, so I'd recommend anybody that wants to do a marathon to come and have a go.
Well, she's leading last year's champion. Here she is, Jo Zakchevsky. Slightly slower start than normal, but that's understandable given the troubles that she's been through recently.
I had a bit of a fall in a race in the mountains about 7 weeks ago, so it's been painful to run ever since, really. Up until last week, the longest non-stop run I'd done was about 6 miles. I managed to run a half marathon last weekend, so that was 13 miles, so this will be double the distance I've run.
She did 2:48.48 to win last year. It'll be interesting to see her time. This is Michelle Nolan, sitting in third place in the women's race, still smiling, but remember she did a 35-mile race last weekend. She's only had 7 days to recover from that. It's quite incredible that she's still out there, still moving. 3,000 athletes about to start the 10-mile race here in York, and great to have Hannah Cockcroft back from Rio after her success there. She's the race starter today.
normally do the 10-mile race. This year, obviously, having a little bit of time off after Rio 2016, but I'm a very proud patron of the Jane Tomlinson Appeal, so come back every year. Just so many memories at these events, because, you know, the Leeds 10K is where I raised money for my first ever race chair. The York 10K was my first ever race, so just so many things have happened here. It's nice to come back and support and see the people of Yorkshire.
Yeah, and this is a fantastic event, but you've just come back from the pinnacle of all events, and what a time you had in Rio. I mean, what's it been like for you since then?
Oh, Rio was incredible, but it's been crazy since we got back. You know, been home nearly 3 weeks now. Probably been at home for about 2 days of those 3 weeks. We just haven't stopped really, but it's all about getting out there, sharing these with people, and just showing people what it's all about really. And it's been fantastic. I've loved every second.
Great to see you here, and thanks once again. Huge congratulations on the gold as well.
Thank you very much.
Joe Sager winning the 10-miler. Good time from him, just over 54 minutes. Has to be happy with that. And the women's race taken by Victoria Whitehead, 1:02.36, 30 seconds clear of Sarah Douglas. Nice to see Harry Gratian out on the roads again. He ran the full marathon back in 2013.
I just love this event. It's so special in the calendar, and I just love the support that you get when you make your way around.
And Ray Matthews, 75 years old, notches up another 10-miler, having started the marathon race.
Loved every minute of it. It's great to be able to help people along the way, a couple with cramp, and nice to be able to stop and talk to people, and just been amazing. It's a bit faster than I normally run, but never mind, only 10 miles.
Only 10 miles. Tell me, what are you going to do tomorrow?
I'll be running, probably another 10 miles.
Fantastic, there's no stopping him, and there's no stopping this man either. Paul Martelletti leading the men's race here, and he's got a minute and a half or so ahead of Tom Charles, who stuck with him for the first 5 miles. But now Charles has to worry about Harrington, who's coming up fast behind him, closing that gap between third and second. Approaching the halfway stage in the Yorkshire Marathon, and the podium place is yet to be decided.
Welcome back to the Plusnet Yorkshire Marathon, where 10,000 runners have already stormed the ancient walls of this historic city and are now making their way out on the roads all around the county. But for the leaders at the head of the race, it won't be long before they'll be returning to York and the finish. So let's go rejoin the action.
And it's Paul Martelletti still leading, the 36-year-old who moved from Manawatu in New Zealand to Mile End in London, going very well. If he wants his PB, he's going to have to do something special on the second half. This is the battle for second and third. Tom Charles still holding off Scott Harrington, but the gap has closed significantly.
We're just pushing yourself to the limit. I just love the buzz of absolutely giving it everything you've got and having nothing left at the end. And I just find the marathon the ultimate distance, to be honest. This will be my third marathon this year, and I just love the buzz of them.
Well, he's flying at the moment. Harrington closing that gap very, very quickly. Tom Charles not phased, and he just digs in as they come to a slightly downhill section.
You need to be thinking, you know, I've got to keep my legs low. You know, I can't. You can't overuse anything. You can't be bouncy. You know, for every inch your foot's going too high, you'll find it's going significantly lower at the end as it goes rigid, because you just won't have that energy to give. You won't have that flexibility. So you only give exactly what you need. And so you have to always be aware of that.
Charles has already done London and Loch Ness marathons so far this year. He ran the Great North Run, 68, exactly 8 minutes behind Mo Farah in that event. And another little burst from Tom Charles coming into the drink stop, and that's given him, what, a 15-metre lead again over Harrington. Swings and roundabouts between those two as we go back to the wheelchair race. Jade Jones on the right of your screen, leading fiancé Callum Hall, who's just tucking into the slipstream. They're going at a fair pace, certainly on for 2:05 at the moment. Things may speed up as they come into the closing stages. Rob Deering on his own at the moment. No sign of fellow comedian Paul Tonkinson, who I think is ahead. 4 or 5 minutes the margin between those two at the moment. Paul Tonkinson certainly capable of running 3:05. He might even get close to the 3 hours.
Paul, how are you doing? You're looking good.
Tired out, but fine.
You're an experienced runner. How's this one comparing for you?
Tough, it's good fun. It's good, there's uphills and downhills. I'm enjoying the downhills.
You're looking pretty fresh, so you just passed 18 miles. How are we looking at time-wise?
I'm looking to get near to 3, close to 3.
I like to run most days if I can, and I do it because I enjoy it. I don't have to, I don't think everyone has to run. I do it because I enjoy it. I'm not a hero. In many ways it's really selfish. I find it physically very pleasurable to run. So the hardest bit is keeping going when you're really tired. I mean, it's very simple, isn't it? You get really tired during it. It gets harder the longer it goes along. So 1 mile you feel great, 7 tired, 14 really tired, 21 the wall exists. You can feel it sometimes. You feel yourself kind of crumbling psychologically and physically. So it's harder just to keep going. So if you can try and hold back on the pace a little bit, and make sure you drink and eat as much as you can while you're within reason. I'm not saying strap pork pies to your chest and set off into Yorkshire. Just water a little bit often. Everyone's got different techniques with it, and just look after yourself. And marathons are really intense, and everyone's different. And by the end, you've felt like you've had some experience that is. You feel different at the end than you did when you lined up. And you feel really relaxed as well for like about a week afterwards. You just feel in this little bubble of relaxation. So it's just dramatic. It's like a story.
Well, he has to be right, because why else would so many hundreds, thousands of people come back for more, like time and time again? This is Alan Myers. He's moving along nicely. He's actually gone ahead of Jamil Parapia. Parapia, remember, on his very first marathon, and he's going to produce a respectable time. This is the battle for second and third. Harrington has dropped back. He did catch up with Tom Charles, but now he's a bit further back, but he's still on course for that all-important 2-hour 30 mark, which he has never beaten. Tom Charles into the last of the drink stops at this stage of the race. He knows how important it is to stay fueled and hydrated. Goes back for the gel.
The question is always what happens after mile 20, because that's when the race really begins, and that's when the bodies can also begin to fail. And there's not really much planning for that. So I've got a few things I'd like to do during the race, probably hydrating more than I usually do. I think that's an issue for me. And again, just keeping focused on my form. But if I can keep those in, then I think the tactics will only really truly come into play around mile 20.
He knows how tough it can be. He doesn't know how tough it's going to be this time, just little sips of water. Here's the race leader, Paul Martelletti, going past the tail enders in the 10-mile race. That may well give him a boost. Always nice to be overtaking. And he's still looking tremendous with a couple of miles to go. Sarah Lowry into the closing stages as well. A decent margin ahead of the rest of the field. She won the York Half Marathon this year. The double is on.
Once you get to 22 miles, stop looking at the watch and just hang on and see what happens. Normally in the marathon, last few miles, I generally lose about 15-30 seconds a mile.
It's a dark, dark place for many of the runners. Jo Zagchevsky, she surely is going to suffer with the small amount of training that she's been able to do in the last 7 weeks, but she's still there in second place. Doesn't look as though she'll defend the title she won last year. Michelle Nolan, who has a great coping strategy for the closing stages.
Someone once told me to dedicate the last 6 miles of a marathon to somebody, mile 21 for your mum, mile 22 for your dad, etc. Just to keep you focused on that mile and to know that it's going to hurt and to be expected and just to try and ride through it, and it'll pass. It always passes. It always passes. But it's trying to remember that when you're there.
You get the feeling it's as much a mental battle as it is a physical one. Sarah Lowry, well, she's coping well on both fronts, running at sub 50 despite the fact that she slowed a little in those last few miles. Here's Matthew Burton from Educating Yorkshire. He's back again, having said he'd only ever do it once. And this year running for a very worthy cause and accompanied by his brother Phil.
It's a friend of ours, Tom and Cheryl Murphy, whose little girl Edie really sadly died from a rare form of epilepsy last year, around this time of year. So we couldn't not run for this because it's such an amazing cause, and for such a wonderful little girl, and Fly High Edie is the sort of hashtag, and it's the kind of thing I think at mile 20 when you have to reach sort of deep within your soul to get yourself around. Thinking of little Edie will get me around, I'm sure.
Matthew running with brother Phil this year as he's been injured, needed some company to help him through those last few miles. So far, so good.
Matt, hopefully he can do it all. Drag him to the finish line. I led the Brownlees a few weeks ago.
It's a bit of a contingency really, because if I can't, then at least one bird can finish. So, yeah. But we'll see. Fingers crossed.
So the plan is I'm hoping for 100% of you guys at the finish line. But if I get 50%, that's pretty good.
Is that in full human form or just in bits?
Rapidly falling apart, but still going. Hasn't stopped running so far. Well, you speak to anyone who's done the Yorkshire Marathon and no one fails to mention the crowds. What essential support they provide. Not every event can muster up this sort of atmosphere, but Yorkshire seems to do it year after year.
You're looking super fresh. It's going okay.
I think underneath it's not like that, but yeah, focus, concentrate. The fan support's been absolutely fantastic.
Oh, we love a smiler at 17 miles. How's it going, young man?
Tough. Yeah, it's good.
Have you been with us before, or is it your first time?
First one. Yeah.
Why? Why today? Why this year?
Oh, 'cause I'm stupid.
How you doing, my friend?
Okay, not too bad. I'm coping, I'm trying to get there. Taking it easy, no rush. I'm shattered now, so...
Well, you're looking good and the support's great, so keep it going. We've got a little bit of Fred Flintstone and Elvis Presley going on, sir. I love it.
Thank you.
Who are you running for today?
Well, it's for the Firefighters charity in Staffordshire. I'm a part-time fireman. So we're just having a bit of fun today. Wilma's here, your running partner. So just having a bit of fun, get the crowd going. All the runners enjoy it anyway, that's the main thing.
Brilliant, and you and Wilma are going all the way together, 26.2 miles, yeah?
Yes, absolutely, yeah.
Great scenes at the Yorkshire Marathon 2016 as the leaders approach the finish.
Welcome back, where we're only moments away from crowning the winners of the Plusnet Yorkshire Marathon. We're expecting them down this finish chute any second now.
Well, here come the leaders in the wheelchair race. Callum Hall clocking 2:01.33, just ahead of Jade Jones.
Really enjoyed it, the atmosphere was great and the people along the course were amazing. Lots of support, which is good. Lots of fun, I really enjoyed it.
In the men's race, Paul Martelletti still going strong. His fourth marathon of 2016. Well, he won't match the 2:16 he did in Berlin, but he's not far outside it. Again, he's sub 2:20, another fabulous run.
I mean, the last 5 or 6 miles was brilliant. Like, you come home and there's passing the 10 mile people is awesome. They give you some wicked support. Second time I've done it, second time I've run under 2:20 here, so it's a good place for me, yeah.
Tom Charles, 2 minutes quicker than he was in London this year, 2:27.20, and he holds on to second place.
Saw Martelletti was around today, a fast runner, so I knew just let him do his own thing, and I managed to keep going. But now, I need to go collapse.
And from Otley Athletics Club, Scott Harrington, who's really dug deep today, and he's beaten that 2:30 mark.
Blimey. I knew I did it the first year it was ran. It's one of the fastest courses around. My PB was 2:32. But a hard summer, no racing, just training, solitary. I knew I could get on the 2:30 on that course. So to run 2:28, it's an absolute dream.
One happy man, and he finishes in third behind Martelletti and Charles. 4 men beating the 2:30 mark. And Jamil Parapi, his first ever marathon, 2:30.20. Very, very impressive. And Sarah Lowry, at 34, wins the women's race. She was 8th in 2013, 5th last year. She's top this year.
Yeah, it's a brilliant race, a brilliant course, and yeah, I've got a 9-minute PB, so I'm absolutely over the moon. I'm so happy.
Zagchevsky doesn't defend her title, but she's only 16 seconds slower than last year. Amazing.
My aim was to go to halfway, see how I felt, and I made it to the finish. I'm just over the moon to get here in one piece.
Well, there you see the results. Larry Zabchesky, the top two. Michelle Nolan, despite that ultramarathon a week ago, in 3rd place ahead of Sarah Gruber.
The legs felt okay.
Well, yeah, okay being the operative word. Yeah, I just had to dig deep, and yeah, I found out I was made of stern stuff.
Well, clearly, but how about the crowds here in Yorkshire? Key to your run today?
But honestly, it was fantastic. It really was. I didn't expect it to be so good all the way around. Fantastic. I'll definitely do it again.
Well, that's good to hear, and I think those sentiments will be echoed by many of the runners out here today. Remember, 7,000 entered for the marathon, 3,000 in the 10-miler. Paul Tonkinson across the line, 3:04 on the clock.
I did it, yeah. I was in that tantalising zone between 3 hours and 3:05. It's a little bit purgatory, because 3's the goal, but I knew I was going to miss out. My legs were seizing up. The last 2 miles, anything goes, you know, you just fall apart. But it was fantastic, amazing race.
What about your comedy mate, Rob? How did he get on? Were you staying with him at the early part of the race?
No, we don't run together. Once the gun goes, we're away. I saw him a couple of times. He looked like he was running really well, actually, so I hope he'll be along in a few minutes. Yeah, he looked great.
Well, he should be down the home straight any moment now. He raced here in 2014 and clocked a time of 3 hours 14. That's his PB. He's not going to match that this year, but he's still under the 3-hour 20 mark. A respectable run from Rob Deering.
That's my best marathon since my last Yorkshire, and I've done 3 since. And it felt great, really nice run. Lovely finish, there's so much support and it's so nicely laid out.
Completed my first ever marathon, so I'm so happy to get through the finish line because I was struggling, and thanks to this man for dragging me in.
Come on!
Really good support out there today.
Unbelievable, you couldn't believe it. All the villagers came out, it was just fantastic, really, really good.
This is my favourite marathon, definitely. Absolutely love it.
Knackered. No, I loved it, absolutely loved it.
Wilma's beating me today. Never mind, next time I get her.
So much emotion, so many PBs, so many personal achievements here today. And this, an event that has raised millions for good causes. And so many individuals driven on by the causes they're supporting.
Faye, that looks like that meant a lot to you.
Yeah, lost a couple of people from cancer in the last couple of years, so just raising money for them and the emotions get you through.
What a day out it is. Not just for those running, for those supporting. There is a huge feel-good factor. And the best spectacle of all comes towards the back of the field. Those who've been out there for 4-5 hours, battling the pain. It's just getting across that line that provides the satisfaction and no doubt encourages you to do more events in the future. Matthew Burton still out there, still going.
How are you getting on? Yes, good. No problem. Allez. No problem, we finished. We want to finish now.
How's it going, Tim? Are you as bright as your headgear suggests?
Best I've ever felt in my whole life. I've never felt any better. Raising money for St Leonard's Hospice. We've got 3 miles to go, just a park run. That's all it is.
Have you run in a costume like this before?
I've never run 200 yards in a costume before.
So the question is, would you run in a costume like this again?
No.
I've done a few, and it's right up there with some of the best. Thank you, York.
It's been fantastic. I have to say, the crowd, the support. Oh, wow. You know, I can't look back. I'll come again.
Don't tell anybody you've seen me, all right?
I was hoping for a medal spot this year. I was going for at least silver, but I think I'm out of that now. But it's been all right, yeah, it's been all right. It's good fun. And the crowd's really helped, so it's great.
And here is Claire Alexander.
Most of the villages I've met people that I know from work, Get Helms, the Stamford Bridge, Dunnington, and they've all been cheering me on. And with my name on here, everybody's just been cheering me on. It's been really nice. It's been good. I'm not doing it again, but it's been good.
How many runners have said that and then signed up the very next day once they've forgotten the pain? Let's hope we see Claire in the marathon next October.
It's a drink station!
There's more fuel in a pint of beer than in a banana. That may well see him to the line. Mr. Burton on the home run. He knows he's going to make it now. Thanks to Phil, his brother, dragging him around.
I mean, Phil's helped me, and almost literally been my water carrier. He's literally carrying water and just like spraying me and just sort of keeping it going.
So I've got to ask you last question. You said you'd only do it once. You've now done it 3 times. Come on, is there going to be 4? Phil, are you going to make him do it next year?
Definitely.
What a moment for Claire Alexander. Remember, this is the 3rd time she's entered the race. It's the 1st time she's made it to the finish line.
You've just done 26.2 miles, but you would never know. You're looking great.
I did walk a little bit the last few miles, but I've enjoyed it. It's been brilliant. I'm so chuffed I've done it.
All the hard work and effort and all the fundraising, well worth it.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Well, sadly, another Plusnet Yorkshire Marathon comes to a close, and Catherine, we saw some strong runs from our elite runners and some of the guys that we spoke to, Rob Deering, Paul Tonkinson, comedians by day, runners also, strong times for them, and Claire Alexander. What an inspirational run.
Oh, it's absolutely outstanding, isn't it? I think you could pick thousands of stories, and Claire is one of them. And she was absolutely delighted to come and finally finish the Yorkshire Marathon. And as you say, our more familiar faces were putting in some rapid times as well. It's a fast course, it's a flat course, and it just keeps getting bigger and better.
Bigger and better, and I'm sure that will be the tale of the tape this time next year. But for now, from myself, Kevin, and Catherine here in Yorkshire, goodbye.